Okay. Sorry about the unexpected delay. I realized a glass of water would be very important for the next bit here. It would also be helpful to remember to lower the audio volume of the background music. Well, welcome on into the continuation of our stream today if you're joining us live on Twitch. If you're catching this in a VOD on YouTube, thank you for joining Unrestricted Lore Affairs Beacon Space Faction Turn 29. Can you imagine we've done 29 of these? That seems quite ridiculous at this point, but here we are. Cool. Let's go ahead and get started then. So what you're looking at on here is our map tool that we've had for quite some time now. Zoomed in, strictly speaking, on the planet of Tellus. So we can see all of the assets that are currently hanging out there as we get started with our faction turn. We'll get started, in fact, with the Amelhart Institute being first this faction turn. So welcome on over to the spreadsheet. Be sure to let me know if that's not quite readable. I think I've got the settings set the same as we've been doing for the past few, but if there's a small issue with that, let me know. And Google changed the layout of Google Sheets, so who knows, maybe that's also affected some things. It's mostly the header bar that I try to crop out, but it seems to have snuck back in with the crop. So it would have been smart of me, but I don't think I made Faction Turn 29 sections beforehand. Oh, I do, but they don't have the orders filled in, so we'll be doing that by hand this turn. But we'll get to start off with the Amelhart Institute coming in first this turn. They are not setting a goal of theirs, but they are going to be taking the buy asset action to purchase a Saboteur's asset on the planet of Longza. Then they're going to take a movement-free action with the covert shipping asset they purchased previously. So let's go take care of these for them. We'll start off with their purchase, so we'll clear purchasing sickness off their previous asset, insert a row below. For the Amelhart Institute, having purchased some Saboteurs. This is going to come at a cost to them of 5 faction credits. Pull all of these down, and this is being purchased on Longza, where they are in charge, so they're able to do this quite nicely. We'll pull down the asset description, there we go, and that populates that. So that was going to cost them 5 faction credits, but I don't think I've given them income yet, so their current income is 5 credits, so in fact they will go up to 10, and then immediate return back down to 5. They're then going to use a covert shipping asset of theirs to move the commodities broker on Tellus to Longza. So if we come take a look, they have a commodities covert shipping asset right here on Malacca. It can reach this commodities broker asset, and so we'll just move that over to Tellus at the cost of 1 faction credit. Well, we're on here this page first, so we'll take them down to 4 faction credits and then go move that asset around. So they have a commodities broker asset on Tellus, and it is moving to Longza. Fantastic. That takes care of that. And I think I need to go update. Oops, not that far. Just this. Their income is only 5 faction credits, not 6. They're over their asset cap, so it gets subtracted by 1. And that wraps up our first faction of the turn, completing the Amelhart Institute. They had no goals, so they earn no XP, and we move right along. Second to this faction turn is the Starlit Court, who's down here in right here. And they are going to be taking the Seize Planet goal and then completing it this turn as one of their seizures completes. And then they're also going to be taking the Use Asset action. So let's give them their money for doing so, taking the Starlit Court up to a total balance of, wow, is that 63 faction credits? Oof, They are rich at the moment. They're then going to move the planet of Sihi around, causing all kinds of map chaos, but that's the way it works sometimes. They're going to be moving to 1107 as their action. I don't think there's anything else there. Nope, only Sihi now. So that's great. And that will mean the sector objects page needs to be updated to find Sihi on it. But I will take care of map-related updates afterwards, because it may take a second for those to propagate across. We will, however, fix this homeworld option, and all of the assets that are on this world, just to make my life easier. I think somebody else has an asset here. Yes, they do. Fantastic. That takes care of all of those updates. We'll then activate the Harvesters asset from the Starlit Court that is located here. Harvesters are going to get to roll a die to see if they collect some money. So we'll go check this die roll out on the asset details. And we get to roll a d6. On a 3+, they gain a faction credit. So we'll come over to our lovely Roll20 instance and roll a d6 to roll a 5, which is greater than a 3, so that will earn them 1 faction credit, taking them up to a total of 64. And then finally, they're going to attempt their Grail Roll exploration with the Smuggler asset that is located in the 1609 hex. Right here, and they get a +10 in total. They listed out the details for this last turn, so I have just centralized it down to a simple +10 in the notes. If there's any interest on where it's coming from, it's the same things as last time. So let's go ahead and make this roll for them. It is just a d10 plus 10. I need to find the DC, which I believe is on their previous turn. It's not. That wasn't very smart of me. Do I have it written down in my internal notes? I don't. We'll have to go check the rules. It's fine. This is what the rule document is for. Grail Hunt. Grail World Hunt. The DC started at 10. It increased by 2 each time, so that means the difficulty should be 14. If I'm correct there. So we will go roll a d10 plus 10 for an 18, so that is a success, and they reveal Grail World. So I will talk more about that at the end of the turn, but they have found the Grail World. So let me make a note to my document so that I don't forget to discuss this. Starlit Court Grail World Reveal. I have this written out, it's just not in my document because I didn't want to accidentally announce it if they hadn't found it. So we'll make sure that that goes right there. Cool. Congratulations to them. And we'll see exactly what happens at the end after all factions have been processed. I don't want to do it in the middle of the stream in case it impacts things in unexpected ways. So we'll just continue from there. Very nice, though. Alright. Let's go ahead and mark this success. Reveal real world. And then to wrap up their turn, we'll tick their Seas counter along, taking them up to completing their Seas at Dacia, which gives them +1 experience points, taking them up to a total of 3 XP, and we want to go mark that they are now the planetary government of Dacia, meaning that wealth assets built on that world cost them 1 less. Congratulations to them. Very well. Cool. That wraps up their turn, and we get to move along to our next faction. Next up is the Tellus Council, who are coming in 3rd this faction turn. I believe they were first last time. They were. So they're going to level up their stats first, and then we'll attribute income, which should give them 1 faction credit at that point. And then we'll see what happens when they purchase this asset. So they get to increase all of their stats by 1, taking them up to 3 force, 4 cunning, and 4 wealth. The bonuses left to be applied over time are 2 cunning and 2 wealth then. Let's update this tracker. And then it does adjust their income then to just be a simple 1, as they're no longer over their asset cap for force or wealth assets. And we'll get to buy them a post-tech industry asset. So, over to the asset tracker and clear their previous purchase sickness. They got both a distorted lens and a post-tech industry last time. They're buying another post-tech industry for another 8 faction credits. And of course, it's being built on Tellus, where they're being granted permission to do such a thing. So they made 1 money, which should have brought them up to 12, and then they're down to 4. And why is their income now at? This formula is missing a parenthetical. Isn't it? No? How was that a 1? Okay, well, we'll have to figure that out later. This value is wrong. It should not be positive. So I'll figure out what's up with the formula afterwards. And we'll go from there. Strange things occurring. Oh, I should go appropriately mark purchase sickness on that asset, and there we go. That wraps up the council's turn then. And then we'll get to move right along to Ascent. So, Ascent is going to choose to abandon their current goal as starting, which will lose out on their stat-based income, so they will only get to take a total of 2 faction credits of income this turn, but they will get to change their goal. They're then going to take the buy asset action to purchase a Book of Secrets asset on Tellus. So they're going to abandon their goal, costing them their 4 stat income. They'll still make 2 from planets, taking them up to 50. They're then going to spend 20 of that on the Book of Secrets, so they go down to 30, and we'll go purchase this asset for them. Their treachery loses purchasing sickness. Yep, that's fine. Ascent. This is a Book of Secrets asset on the world of Tellus. It'll be interesting to see what all they're able to do with that. They're then going to spend a free action to do ruin excavations as part of the ruin, and they're going to be spending some money on it. 5 faction credits to be exact. So they'll get to see exactly what happens with that result. They're guaranteed to add at least 1 to the ruin clock by spending this money. So we'll roll a d10 plus 5 for them, adding all 5 of the faction credits for a total of 14 on the roll. Congratulations to them. That will beat the 9 plus, so they'll get to add plus 2 to the clock. So the planet map for, it's now no longer planet CU, it has been renamed to Dejufri Konosu, if I totally probably butchered that pronunciation, but it's fine. Taking the ruin progress to 6 out of 8, nearly there. That takes care of that roll. We'll just need to charge them for it. That takes them down to a balance of 25 faction credits. Finally then, they're going to attempt to establish an outpost on planet CU by using the map modification rules. Or what is it? It's a revised charts roll, so this is a d10 plus faction credits plus their constellation bonus score. I don't believe they have a constellation. They don't, so they get no constellation bonus, and no money is being spent on this. So let's check how much the scores needed to actually make this change on the map. Which, annoyingly, I didn't make a link from that action down to the map itself. Making modifications, that would have been a smart thing to do. This is actually difficulty 11 to make an outpost by size-wise, so that can't actually succeed. Does the planet already have a population? Oh, it already has hundreds of millions anyway. I'm not entirely sure what this instruction was for then, so it won't be rolled. Already has pop. They'll just have to make whatever their change was next turn. They abandoned their goals, so they don't earn any XP, and that wraps up their faction turn. And we get to move right along to the next faction in line, the Aguamala Syndicate, who is 5th this turn. They are going to not be setting a goal, but they are going to earn some money and take the repair asset action. So let's go give them their 5 faction credits, taking the Aguamala Syndicate up to a total of 16 money. They're then going to repair a few of their assets. So first off, purchase sickness of theirs goes away on the asset they bought last turn. And the Viridescent Fangs, that's this row right here, is going to heal itself up for 4 HP, up to a total of 8. And the one underneath that, the Rites of Spring, is going to heal itself for 4 HP as well, costing 2 faction credits, so they've spent 3 total. So 3 total spent on repairs. They're then going to move the Rites of Spring, taking its ability to move, and relocate it on to Gome at the cost of 1 faction credit. So they've spent 4 in total. And then they're going to try to take a revise charts as action. But let's go charge them their money first. So from their 16, they are now down to 12 faction credits. They're going to be taking the revised tech level attempt. So this is a DC 11. They can attempt to increase or decrease the tech level of a planet by 1. The maximum is TL4 plus for this. Gome is TL3, and they are trying to change it to TL4, which the assets they have just moved on World of a Strike Fleet matches the requirements for trying to make such a change. So we'll roll a d10 plus their constellation bonus of a plus 5, which we'll pull up just to double check. Actually, they have a +6 according to this map. So I will give them a +6. Tab roulette there. F15 beats N11. Ooh, that's 2 9s in a row. Pretty cool. That will indeed up the tech level then of Gome. Planet map. There's no place like Gome, but it's now TL4. Congratulations. That wraps up the Agumala Syndicate's turn with a success on that change. Up next is the Concord of Mutual Disdain, who are going to earn an income of 7 faction credits, bringing them up to a balance of 52, and then they're going to be taking the Expand Influence action. Let's go ahead and record their actions. Concord of Mutual Disdain right here, coming in 6th this faction turn. They're going to be expanding influence on the planet of BI, which actually finding it through highlighting is not as easy as I thought, given the yellow color from Ascent looks quite similar. But down here we find it in the 15-17 system. They're the only one on world, so this is an easy thing for them to do. They can expand influence without any issues. So we will come down and find their section for them and give them a new base of influence. That will, of course, grant them 1 experience point, as well as it is unopposed in their action. And this is on Planet BI. It is only a single HP, as that's all they've asked to spend, so that takes them down to 51 faction credits. They will then move their strike fleets in a few of these places around. So the strike fleet in the 17-18 system is going to move to planet AY in the 18-17 system. And the strike fleet that is currently hanging out in 1210, that's this one, on Kartakuk, is going to relocate to 1208 Gome. Both of those movements cost faction credit each, taking them down to 49 on their balance. They then completed their goal, earning themselves 1 XP, taking them up to 6. And their Seas of Planet BU ticks along, pushing itself up to 2 out of 3. That completes the Concord of Mutual Disdain's turn. And we move along to the Tahora Fai, coming in 7th this faction turn. They're going to get their boatloads of money of 13 credits, mostly coming from the nice ruin they have, bringing them up to a total of 23 faction credits for this turn. They're going to be taking the Seize Planet action for their turn, and they're going to be choosing to seize the planet of CH with a Surveyor's asset that is on world. They are not setting a goal. I think I forgot to mention that. They are then going to be making several attacks that are invalid as the targets do not exist. So on Cernin, the Agumala Syndicate was attacked by several assets, but there are no Agumala assets on that world to actually receive the attacks. We can go double check that. Over here, no Agumalan assets. They're just off the coast in 0511. There are a few things, though, that we need to go ahead and do, so we'll get to start that Seize on Planet CH, which they can do without issues. There's nobody else on that planet, so it begins unopposed, and we'll go make a note of that for them. So Seize Planet CH is at 1 out of 3. They're then going to be moving some assets around. So there is a strike fleet of theirs on Idarast that they would like to move. And I can actually get rid of both the trade and purchase sickness of their assets. And and well, okay, trade should technically stick around, shouldn't it? But the purchase sickness can go away at this exact moment. So their strike fleet, the Kuapa Remana? Kuapapa Ramana, we'll go with that, is relocating from Idarest to Longza at the cost of 1 faction credit. And the distorted lens asset is being moved from Langan to Saranin using the covert shipping asset. It may be technically still in trade sickness, but it can be moved. That is perfectly fine, because it is not moving itself. The Rays of Light actually have performed this movement. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and clear this now so I don't forget, the revised charts asset of theirs, they are trying to establish a moon base on one of Saranin's moons of Tho. So this will be a D10 plus 7 versus a DC of 10. So let's go roll that out for them. Well, D10 plus 7, that's a 13. They've successfully defined this moon base. Congratulations. Sector objects, so this is on Tho, and it is a moon base 1, which I'm sure they will get me a name for in the near future. Congratulations to them. Moving on to the next faction in our turn this time is coming over to the Assembled Commonwealth, who hold the 8th spot. They're going to be taking the new goal that will take just a moment longer to detail out. They're taking the Scout a System goal. So, if we come check the goals, we actually get to see that Scout a System has been added. Scout a System or planet establishing a new sector object on the map. Completion is +1 XP, regardless of the difficulty of the object established. So they'll probably unsurprisingly be trying to add something to the map this turn. Let's go give them their 5 faction credits of income, though, bringing them up to 22. As we give them their money, that takes care of that step. They're then going to try to take that reaction to establish a gas giant on Idarast. Or in the Asta system, I guess. They're using an asset on Idarast to make this roll, but I'm sure the gas giant exists in the system and not on the planet itself. That may be poorly worded on my part. So a D10 plus 4 from their constellation bonus. Ooh, they are just barely scraping by. This is a DC 8 roll, so they have succeeded in establishing a gas giant in the Asta system. We'll have that. I guess this is Gas Giant 1. I don't think we have any of those previously defined. Well, if we do, they have names. So. Oh, we only have, yeah, Gas Giant Mines. So, congratulations to them. That has been established. That completes their goal. Next up, they're going to use the Anchorage Station asset on Malacca, which is right here. It is this asset, to move all their other assets on this world. So both of these extended theaters, both the grav tanks, the pre-tech industry, and the commodities broker, and they're going to be moving these back around to Idarast. This has a complicated total cost, given the cost to move this asset increases with the number of assets on board. It has a default cost of 1, and then it seals the half of the total number of other assets being moved, excuse me. So that's 6 other assets being moved on board. So that's adding 3 to this cost, costing them 4 faction credits. So that takes the Assembled Commonwealth down to a balance of 18 as they make this move. And let's go move all of these assets around for them. So Anchorage Station is moving. It loses the armored status as it relocates into orbit around Idarast, along with all of these other assets from the Commonwealth that were also on Malaga. That looks like all of them. So that works out. The other thing that is going to be done is a covert shipping asset on Idarast is going to move a commodities broker that is currently located in the 1814 system on planet CW to planet CV. for a single faction credit. They're then going to take the seize planet action itself to actually seize that planet they have just landed on. Let's go charge them for that movement, taking them down to a total of 17. And we get to see planet CV is right here in this system, and they're going to start a seize on that. So they have the only asset on world, even though the map doesn't show it yet because it does not update in real time, but that starts the seize. That also gives them 1 XP for completing the Scout System goal, taking them up to 6 XP overall. Coming up next, we have the Larkspur Combine, who are 9th this faction turn. Here they are. They are going to be continuing the trend of inside enemy territory, but they are yeah, they are going to be expanding influence for their action. 1 second, something looks slightly strange in this post. And also, I've been reminded I missed something into Horifai's turn that will affect the whale, so I will go back and do that. But let me double check something in Larkspur's turn. I have a weird note. That this isn't making sense in my notes, so let me find it. Okay. I think somewhere in sharing this there's been a copy-paste error, but I can't find it on my side because it matches everything I can see. Yes, unfortunately, I think they've just typoed their slate. That's the best I can tell, so we'll run with it because that's what we do. So they're going to be taking the inside enemy territory goal, but they only moved 3 of their fleets, which is why I was confused. But I have double-checked everywhere I can see it, and all of the references I see only do move three fleets. So sometimes these mistakes just happen, which is unfortunate. But they are going to be moving 3 of their fleets and then taking the expand influence action. So we'll go through all of these. That's going to be a total cost for them of 4 faction credits. And we do need to give them their income, taking them up to 16. Then I'll go ahead and charge them for all 4, taking them down to 12. They're moving 3 assets around. As we check Larkspur Combine in... Oh, references are all messed up inside enemy territory. I'll have to fix that. IET, 3 out of 4. They're going to move 3 of their strike fleets around. They're going to move a strike fleet from Kardakuk on to Yakia for 1 faction credit. Then they're going to move 2 strike fleets from Mankiraniti on to Idarast for a total of the 3 faction credits we charged them earlier. This puts them at 3 out of 4 on IET. They're then going to expand influence on Yakia, spending a 1 HP to form a 1 HP base of influence. They are not being opposed by the Concord Mutual Disdain, who I may have almost accidentally confused into if I was asking them for permission rather than if they were going to contest. But that was resolved amicably. So this 1 HP base of influence is established perfectly fine. And it is, of course, stealth, like all of their assets join the map being. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure due to a typo, but one we still run with, they are not going to complete inside enemy territory this turn and will not earn 2 XP. And we will move along to the Children of the Vein. So, Children of the Vein have a coming in 10th on this faction turn. They are going to take the buy asset action after they earn some 7 money, and then we'll move a bunch of things around for them. So 21 is their current balance. They're then going to buy a covert shipping asset on Tellus for 8, taking their balance down to 13. So we come on over, find the Children of the Vein. It's going to go ahead and give them a new asset. This is their covert shipping. Excuse me, as stated, it cost 8 faction credits, and it won't have 1 HP, but that's what this says. This should fix it. It has 4 HP. And it was purchased on Tellus. This purchase was not opposed by the Tellus Council. And, of course, covert shippings can move assets around. There we go. They then have a few things they're going to do. They're going to activate one of the Tellus Terror Group Council effects to repair the planetary infantry, or the pre-tech infantry, excuse me, that is located on Tellus of theirs, that is currently at 14 of 16 HP, to take it up to 15 out of 16. This is free. It is their free one-time member use. The other things they're going to do is activate the extended theater asset they have on Tellus to move an asset to move an extended theater on Tellus to Malacca, costing them 1 faction credit. So we have the extended theater asset of theirs on Tellus is moving itself over to Malaga. Oops. Nope, that was right. And then the extended theater asset on Moss is going to activate to move a commodities broker on Heliositis over to Tellus. So commodities broker right here. This is moving over to Tellus. That costs another faction credit. The Pirate BOI would trigger from the Tahor Fayi, but the bank negates that cost. That means they've only spent 2 faction credits we need to charge them for at this point. They're then going to wrap up their turn by taking the free action that is new to unveil the ruin. They're going to take the pre-tech infantry that is located on Heliositis to actually make this as the asset that will be attempting this role. They have a +6 modifier from the force from their force stat. It's going to cost them 5 faction credits because they're going to spend that as well. So that's going to give them a total of a +11 versus a DC 14, and of course they reroll 1s when rolling dice. So we're going to roll a D10, rerolling a single 1 once and adding 11. For a total of a 17 versus DC 14, that is a success for them. So I will make note to tell them the distance that they have discovered when I send them their next turn order. Congratulations to them. Let's go charge them for that and their 2 movements. So that was a total of 7 faction credits to charge them for, taking their balance down to 6. That wraps up their turn. I'm now going to go pick up the one step I missed of the Tahora Fayi's turn to go ahead and attempt to lure the whale. This is an opposed 4v4 roll. Let me add it into their faction turn. I missed it when I was doing this earlier. I missed it in my copy and paste. Here, I can now finally sort this, which will make my life easier. Okay, lure the whale. 4v4 will we'll roll for the Tahora Fai first, so a d10 plus 4 for the Fai is a 14. That's a good roll for them. The whale counters with the worst roll in the history of world that it could achieve, a 5. So they will successfully lure the whale, and their intended destination is Sarinen. So the whale will instead, on its turn of trying to heal or turn into stealth, it will actually move. So this white whale up here will get lured over to Sarinen. Let's go count that. Lured by Tahora Fai to Sarinen. So let's go move the white whale right here to Sarinen. Cool. It's moved over to the gateway system. That wraps up the whale's turn, which I believe shuffles us around to the end of the regular faction turn. Let me just double check if anybody else noticed anything else I missed. Don't see anything else in chat, so I'll just move on over to other end of turn steps. So we have a faction quest that we have 2 faction quest steps we need to worry about here. So first off, we have the Bleed Temple. We'll roll a d10 like normal. So for our 9 factions, and then skipping the White Whale, so 10 being the Telos Council, we'll go ahead and go roll that to see who receives a free asset. That's a 2, so Ascent has received the free asset this turn, as they are going to receive a Distorted Lens. Congratulations to them. Of course, this spawns in like normal on the world of Langen. And it still has Purger Sickness. Cool. Congratulations to them. That has been won by the Ascent. Cool. The other quest that needs to be resolved is the Starlit Court successfully finding Grailworld. So, there are a few things that occur here. When it is they have found the correct location, which they basically knew, but I had not confirmed yet. So, they get to have it join the planet. Or actually join the map, excuse me. So, let me go add Grailworld into the map. They didn't want to know anything about the planet, so it is all of the details won't be rolled randomly. I picked them, but they didn't know them in advance, so that was the case. Let's find where this should be added in to the right here. It is the 1609 Railworld Rail System Rail World. They're welcome to change the system name when they should they want to. It has the mechanical tags. Add 2 FC per turn. It has a population of hundreds of millions of people that are currently living in TL5 conditions. It is a breathable mixed atmosphere with a burning temperature and an engineered biosphere. It has the tags of seismic instability and a pilgrimage site on world. Let's just get all of these cells filling in. Great. The other thing to note is that this planet has a ruin. And the ruin clock starts, like always, at 0 of 8. The revealing this world does not immediately grant them planetary government of it. They must seize the world like normal. But they do have an ability that triggers when they reveal the world. So, since the world has been revealed, the Starlit Court may summon up to 2 additional assets from anywhere on the world to the discovery of the Grow World. This momentous event spurs large interest across their faction. Each asset summoned in this way costs 1 faction credit to move, taking this special movement action. The asset does not need to be able to move itself or have a movement asset in range. This is a mechanical representation of the fiction, being that when Grow World is revealed, the capital A assets in a faction may change significantly given this discovery, given the quest. So they have chosen to move 2 of their assets in this way. The first thing they're going to move is a distorted lens asset currently located on Langen over to this new discovery. So right here it's going to 1609 Grow World, and they're also going to move a strike fleet on 15 that's in the 1502 system on planet CX to not Langen, to Grow World as well, and this asset should relocate itself on to Grow World. I also should probably delete this row, or the map is going to get very confused. Cool. That takes care of the Grail World reveal. The only other sort of important thing of note that's related to this quest is that there is a special knowledge here that when Grail World is seized, the Starlit Court will have an option. They can choose at that time to move its homeworld immediately without needing to take the move homeworld action in the game to actually immediately change its homeworld. If this action is chosen, the planet currently of Sihi would be replaced with an Anchorage Station asset, with all of the assets currently on Sihi being relocated onto the Anchorage Station, and any non-Starlit controlled assets would have to immediately choose a destination to go to, because the Anchorage Station would not be able to carry non-faction aligned assets. They'll get this choice when they seize the Grow World, if they manage to do so. So, that takes care of both of those faction quest announcements, which I believe means we are just on to other final announcements I have. So, I have mostly some clarifications and rules updates ones, as people have figured out their quest rewards. The Tahorafai has chosen a quest tag that they will get when they complete their quest. I'll add it into the rules document shortly after the stream like normal, and it'll be announced on Discord along with all of these other announcements. They have chosen the Cybernetic Assemblers tag. This faction can support 1 Anchorage Station asset without paying the upkeep cost, nor having the tier or tech level requirement. Anchorage Stations controlled by this faction gain the following Adapt Link free action. Choose an asset other than itself at the current location. This new asset gains stealth for 2 faction credits. This ability can be activated multiple of times per turn, with the cost increasing by 1 faction credit for each activation. So essentially their Anchorage Assemblers are able to make stealth variants of assets on board by their advanced cybernetic techniques. It is worth thanking the Assembled Commonwealth for their Anchorage, the inspiration for the Anchorage Station asset. It's been quite fun. Otherwise, we have the Amelhart Institute. I have a quest of theirs that is being announced. Let me pull that document over into the sharing tab. I should probably zoom in just a little bit. Maybe even a little bit more. So they're going to have a new quest called Amelhart Activation. I'll add this into the rules document, of course, after this stream as well. Somewhere deep within the Ingrid supercomputer, the Warmind protocol has been activated. To fully enable the system, however, a series of steps must be completed to operationalize this reactivated mode fully. There's a reactivation procedure. This is a 12-step clock that can move both forwards and backwards. This quest is completed if the clock is at 12 at the end of a faction turn. So it can go past 12. If the addition would send it past 12, because it must be 12 or greater. Is 12 or greater. That's the intent at the end of the turn. There are a few ways to change the status of this clock. There's AI research, which can be taken by Amelhart. They gain the action Boost the AI, free action. Roll a d10 plus F plus D plus faction credits, where the DC is 12. F is the force stat of Amelhart. D is the amount of damage an asset chosen by the Amelhart takes, either a D2, D4, or D6, taking a 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 respectively to the roll. And faction credits is the same, spending up to 5 faction credits. On a success, they get to add 1 to the clock. This action can be taken multiple times per turn. The DC increases by 2 each time this action is taken. On a turn, it resets to 12 every turn. Damage boost. This protocol is motivated by damage dealt or received. If at the end of the turn, the Amelhart has taken or dealt damage, sum up the damage taken and dealt by the Amelhart Institute, then divide by half the sum of this faction's stat line, which is currently 8, and then round down. Add this number to the clock. So, for example, if 7 was the damage that Amelhart had dealt and they had received 6, then we would add 7 and 6 together to get 13. We would divide by the rounded down of half of their faction stats, or 8, so 13 divided by 8, rounding down again, gives us 1. Hindrances. Rival factions can attempt to limit the activation of this protocol by having an asset on planet either controlled by the planetary government of Amelhart or having an Amelhart base of influence on the world, and then taking the delay the activation free action. You roll a d10 plus S against a d7, which is a DC 7 plus the distance to Ingrid, where S is the stat of the given asset. So on a success, you get to remove 1 from the clock. The rewards for Amelhart will be a new faction tag that is still currently in the being worked out, and at the completion of the quest, all assets the Amelhart Institute still has will heal 1d6 plus 1 HP and immediately gain the armored status on themselves. Standard rules for the armored status will apply, so if that asset moves, it will lose the status. And then there's another set of mechanics that will be of interest to factions. As was mentioned in the lore stream, Planet Z is going to be renamed. It will now be known on the sector map as Valkai. So let's go make that change. Finding Planet Z itself and renaming it. It is now known as Valkai. It'll still be System L. They haven't gotten that advanced in renaming itself. We're just choosing the world that the locals use to name the planet with. So the world of Valkai is faced with certain doom. This is a known fact from the free agent's discovery, and the actual process this has been discovered and the details about it will be shared in the upcoming lore stream, but we know the world is faced with certain doom and that this doom is near. These are facts that are true. Due to the discovery and the reveal by free agents, the following effects and actions are now in process. There are a series of clocks. Valkai's Doom has a clock, which is currently at 3 out of 12. It increases at the end of every faction turn. When this clock is completed, Valkai ceases to exist. The planet will be removed from the map. The final outcome depends on the faction's efforts. So the exact way it will be disappeared is not known at this exact moment, except that it will not exist. The planet is dying. There is a 5-step clock for evacuating the population. The general population of Valkai is going to be hopefully evacuated. When completed, all participating factions gain a +2 bonus to their next roll when modifying a planet to increase its population. Hinder governments. If this clock gets to 0, it starts at 5 out of 10, the Help Valkai action described below can no longer be taken, as the governments of Valkai have mounted an organized resistance. Planetary control must be taken offensively. The Help Valkai action is available once all Valkai assets are destroyed. If this clock gets to 10, this clock can no longer change. Additionally, Valkai's faction's wealth stat becomes a 4, and they lose a post-tech infantry asset. The fight resistance groups. If this clock gets to 0, resistance groups overcome logistical efforts, and this clock can no longer change. The evacuate population effect has its DC increased by 4. If this clock gets to 10, the clock can no longer change. Additionally, the faction's force stat becomes a 4, and some cyber ninjas are destroyed. The action will be to help Valkai. It's a free action. It requires an asset on planet Z, and you choose one effect below and roll the required dice. You can either evacuate the population. You use the logistical power of your faction to evacuate Valkans to cooperating worlds. This requires a starship asset that has yet to complete this effect since arriving on world. You must roll a 1d10 plus your wealth score against DC 9, where wealth is the faction's wealth stat. On a success, the evac population clock increases by 1. Hinder governments. The local governments are not happy with their control being diminished. Roll a d10 plus cunning, where cunning is the faction's cunning stat. Compare the results to the following chart, which can impact the government clock. You can do the same thing against the resistance groups, except you're rolling with a force stat. The planet of Valkai is going to be given a faction, but will not effectively have actions unless triggered. It will all essentially be automated to just make them money and keep their assets alive. They are a 5 force, 3 cunning, 6 wealth faction with the deep-rooted tag. Their turn order goes after all councils, after all factions, but before the whale, while the whale is still alive. If it lives. They will get 6 assets, which I'll add to the board here in a second. They'll start off with a balance of 0. And then... whoops, I was supposed to hide this from you. Oh well, you know it now. This is essentially just the actions they will take. So it won't be hidden, because I can't read my own notes and share this document, but that's fine. It's not a huge deal if you know exactly how they're planning to take their actions. It's entirely automated so that I don't have to make any choices. And just to answer the question that came up in chat, that would have been a plausible idea, but I specifically wanted it to be a choice between the 3 clocks at a time when helping Valkai, so I didn't use the existing map modification rules to actually lower population. We'll just use this separate population evacuation clock. Also, it's worth noting the fight resistant, the hinder governments and the resistant groups clocks will decrease by 1 every turn, regardless of if factions interact with them. So they are ticking towards 0 unless prevented. Which I guess I should note here just for clarity. This clock decreases by 1 at the end of each faction turn. So these will get added into the rules doc very shortly, so people can of course review them with more detail as we move forward. These actions will be available at the start of next faction turn. The important thing to note is, because Help Valkai is a named individual action, you can only take 1 of these each turn, so it may behoove you to find friends to be helpful in working together to actually succeed at this. Cool. Do I have any other announcements? Let me check. I don't think so. I think this is it, which was quite a bit of information, but hopefully it all will make sense, and as you get time to actually read the documents, of course, if you have questions, feel free to have your faction reps send me them, and I will aim to clarify any confusion as we go along. So thanks everyone for watching the faction turn today. It's been lovely having you all out for faction turn 29 here at Unrestricted Lorefare's Beacon Space. I've been Xavier Storditz, and I will see you at our next turn, which will likely be sometime in April. I don't think we have a specific date yet on the calendar, but I'll be sure to let factions know within the next day or two what the timeline is going to look like. It is worth noting faction swaps are slightly different this month because the stream was on a Sunday rather than a Saturday. So you'll still have the same 48 hours, so it'll be Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time rather than Monday at 11:59 p.m. So you get that extra time like normal. So don't expect faction turn information until until Wednesday, East Coast time, US at the earliest. But thanks everyone for tuning on all in. I will leave you with some chill tunes for the next few minutes as we say goodbye here. So thanks everyone.